Some classes have an ability to enact mitosis, some have magical girl transformations gone wrong, and some smoke incomprehensible amounts of crack. Nonetheless, every class in Guild Wars 2 has unique class mechanic and is built and balanced around it. When observed in their natural habitat, Ranger's class mechanic stands out from the rest simply because a permanently present in-game entity will always draw attention more than a button on the UI. And in ideal world I want to live in, mechanics doesn't exist. Pets are unique in Guild Wars 2 landscape, as they are a permanent in-game entity with their own skills, stats, upsides, downsides, backsides, and a truckload of retarded pathing issues. There are also only class mechanic in Guild Wars 2 that can apply CC, spawn combo fields and deal damage without having to give a crap about what player character is doing. You can eat stuns like you're on a date with a spellbreaker and your pet won't even flinch, as it is a strong independent carpet and can shred pants with bats still inside without your permission. This notable amount of independence alone makes it significantly more present in a game world than a mechanic that's an ability or a few. Pets can attack on their own volition, have their own abilities, but more than that, they have their own health pool and can body block projectiles and constantly mess with tab targeting. Also, Pet can easily keep down enemy from bandaging without you personally having to be there, so you can rotate earlier and delay your opponent's respawn for longer than other classes realistically can. Even considering the heavy-handed downsides like lackluster damage output compared to actual player characters, their sometimes utterly bizarre pathing issues, and of course the wrench in the goulash that your every opponent wants to become a taxidermist, even with all that, pets are very useful. Then you include skills specifically made to interact with the pet, mainly command skills like search and rescue, and smaller skill effects like attack of opportunity your pet gains when you land more. Other than that, every elite spec interacts in a meaningful way with the pet. Druid's healing keeps pets healthy so they stay in fight for longer, Soul Beast manages to use beast skills and unmerges to allow pet to do the animal things like pissing on fences and such, while Untamed has extra skills, not to mention ping pong and leash mechanic. And even further than that, pets come with their own skills, most of which are shared between pet families, but every pet has at least one completely unique skill. While some DLC pets, that's everything from Bristleback and Smokescale through Ibogas, Jacarandas, Turtle and Chuck Striker, have their wholly unique skill sets. Right now, there's 61 pets in the game, including the 5 underwater exclusives. Depending on when you watch that, it might be 62, as with newest patch, Arena introduces new pet. And they went forward and put it on the forefront, just to remind everyone that 8 other classes aren't getting any new skills this patch. And this is the main reason why I felt obligated to say, Ranger bias does not exist, I don't know what you're talking about. In all seriousness, in SotO all classes received one new weapon, which in some cases was just a main hand. If one class gets 3 sets of new class abilities, 6 of which Soul Beast can use while merged, on top of what everyone else gets, you must admit that does look like special treatment. Of course, everyone would have wanted their class to get new skill or 2 every quarterly update, but for now only one class has this privilege. However, that's not a problem with the Ranger. Guild Wars 2 builds itself on idea of exponential growth, which means new features are to be added for as long as there is space on our disks. Adding new feature is a premise, not a problem, especially if we already have infrastructure in place to accommodate such growth. And this is the main difference between Ranger's class mechanic and every other class mechanic. Ranger's class mechanic was from very beginning, accidentally or not, built to accommodate for exponential growth. And with infrastructure already in place, not expanding on the mechanics would be a mistake within itself. The problem isn't that one class receives something, the problem is that the rest of the classes receive nothing. Unfortunately, 8 other classes weren't built to receive additional features every now and then. Some could be easily changed to allow for such growth. For example, Thief's stolen skills could be a pool of skills from which he picks 5 and one of those 5 is randomly given to him every time he steals. Then that pool of skills to choose from could be infinitely expanded to allow for more build diversity and player expression. Mesmer could have a pool of shatter skills to choose from, including on top of existing 4, an invisibility shatter, one that applies AoE barrier, or a shatter that ports you to your place of choice. Elementalist could have a series of skills, effects and modifiers triggering on swapping into or from a specific attunement. You think something like minor master traits, the likes of Sunspot do, just further fleshed out. Or you could give a warrior a pool of sequence skills he could slot instead of Rip, Defiant Roar or Adrenaline Rush. Here it would take more effort to accommodate, as there are weapons without any sequence skills at all. However, adding spaces for those isn't a fool's errand, as there are borderline useless weapons that already need a rework that could be made viable with a sequence skill or 2. As you can see, there is potential. There is a lot of room for growth that aligns with new update schedule for the game that we could accommodate into already existing classes with minimal cost of infrastructure. Unfortunately, all good must be offset by something bad. In cases of some classes, tweaking their mechanics to allow for seamless inclusion of additional content wouldn't be just as easy. Necro, NG, Guardian, Revenant, how do you set them up for exponential growth? Toolbelt skills are directly tied to your utility bar, virtues are seemingly set in stone, and so are Necro's Shroud and Rev's legendary stances. Maybe I'm just not high enough to figure it out right now, as like with any game mechanic, creativity is the main limiting factor. Henceforth, unfortunately, it is very probable that things are going to stay this way until Arena gets the memo that every class in this game could use at least retouching, if not a rework. And with their breakneck pace, they'll come to it in 2034. Crabface out.